Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, energized by KL Ammo Gameboy US, with your hosts, Jason Rambo and Sean Alley. Coming in hot with the 411 on all things sporting clays. Your go-to source for information, education, and entertainment, from the new shooter to the seasoned competitor.
Oh, I'm a junkie, man. I want to play with the buttons.
He just likes to throw people under the bus. If you're not used to that yet. That's part of the show.
Does your brain hear what your mouth is saying?
Hey, I'm going to call Dave when the podcast is over and ask him what half the words are.
Let's rapid fire. Let's do the hot seat. Let's get her done.
Often imitated, but never duplicated. And now, it's showtime!
Hey everyone, Jason Rambo. Of course, with me, the man that's large and in charge, Mr. Alley. What's up, bud?
We are here, buddy, at the U.S. Open 2022 at Backwoods Quail Club.
Yes, I mean, look, as you can see from the sign, we've got our buggy here. We're going to be spending this entire shoot. We're going to capture some live action shooting. We're going to do a lot of interviews. If you're listening to this, you're doing yourself a great injustice. You need to go over to our YouTube channel, check it out, watch it live. You can see my ugly mug and, of course, you know, Mr. Shrek over here. But we're going to have a lot of great interviews. We're going to capture some shooting. We might even get some shoot-off footage before this is all over with. But, Sean, you know, we drove around a little bit. What do you think of Backwoods so far?
Well, first and foremost, the property's massive. I mean, you've got thousands of acres. I believe he said 6,500 they own and like 15,000 total with what they lease. Right. So the property's enormous. They're shooting all over the place. A lot of driving. You better have a buggy if you come here.
Yeah, for sure. We'll try to get a little bit of the vendors row, too. It's huge. I can't believe how many vendors are here. You know, I mean, this is almost as big as going to the Nationals almost, you know. Everybody's here, I'll tell you that. I think there's over 1,500 shooters here.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen pretty much everybody you can name. I mean, all the big names. Zach, Anthony, David, Gebben, Cory Kruse. I mean,
you name them, they're here.
Yeah, you name them, they're here because this is the U.S. Open, folks.
All right. So, I don't know if we want to do anything about our shooting. I think we'll just leave that for, you know, a cloudy, rainy day.
All I'm going to say, it's the U.S. Open, folks.
Yeah,
so
right.
It ain't easy.
Right, exactly. So, tons of people pouring in. We'll be back to you here in a minute. I think you're really going to like what we have in store for you. Everyone, we've caught up with the man himself, Mr. Rick Hemingway, right down here, 2022 U.S. Open. Rick, we've been around this place, and I'm blown away the amount of work you guys have put into this. We know you've got several trap setters here, but just give us a round number. How many traps you got on the property in operation right now?
411.
Gee, many Christmas, 411. How long in advance did you start getting ready for this event?
2013, when I held it last time, I started thinking about when I could do it differently and better.
Wow, unbelievable. What's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
Actually, it's always hard to start off and making sure everything come together. You have the best laid out plan until you get it all together and green flag falls and the shooters start shooting, which is the last minute we can do anything. Yeah. You're really not sure if you forgot anything or is anything you can do better. So you're always nervous and going to bed every night thinking about if there's anything you've forgotten about to do the next day to be ready for whatever event's opening up that given day.
Now, I've heard a few numbers thrown around. I need to clarify for me. How many acres is here?
It's 15,000 acres I manage on any given day. Some of that's leased. We own about 6,500 acres altogether. For this U.S. Open, we're using just shy of 900.
Wow, unbelievable. How important is it to you? I mean, this is the second largest shoot in this country. You know, Nationals is first, and then this one's right there with it. I think you're just over 1,500 people this year.
It was just shy of 1,500 last I've looked. I haven't kept up with it. When you start an event of this size, whether it goes up and down 100 is not a big deal, so you just worry about it at the end of the event. But around 1,450 was the number last I saw. And as a normal rule of thumb, you go lose 10% on very fortunate that we have not seen that drop. So we've been able to maintain our numbers, which is a first of any event I've hosted or worked, and I've worked many events a year around the country for other clubs. With that said, you know, I'm very excited to have this size event. Very excited for the support, whether it's the sponsors, the vendors, the shooters. You know, it takes the whole congregation of everybody to make a successful event. You can do everything you can possibly do as a range owner, and employees do their job, but if we don't have shooters, we don't have an event. So for everybody to come to South Carolina and support Backwoods Quail Club and Rick Hemingway, I'm just very, very thankful, and very thankful the good Lord has looked out for us and provided some very good weather this week. Yeah, it's hot, but we'll take this over rain any day.
Yeah, I mean, going up to Ohio, if you want to complain about weather right now, you know, I mean, I think, Sean, it was, 60 degrees when we left, and we got down here. It's like, oh, we need to get the shorts on.
Yeah, definitely. And I can tell you right now, me and Jason have toured these grounds. The grounds are beautiful. Everything is run like a Swiss watch. Tons and tons of vendors, great food, great experience. Everybody is so polite. It's just a great event. Rick, we can't thank you enough.
Thank y'all so much for coming, and thank all the shooters, everyone, for attending.
Thank you very much. I do have one last quick question for you, Rick. There's a big intimidation factor, and I know you know what I'm talking about. A lot of the new shooters we're trying to bring into the sport, trying to push them to go out there and dip their toes in the water to a tournament.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this may not be the best tournament for your first one, but there is a big intimidation factor. You take nationals, regionals, and especially the U.S. Open, but you've got something here for everybody. You know, we shot the STS prelim this morning, and yeah, there is some big boy targets, but you're at the U.S. Open. You're supposed to expect that, right?
I'm a believer of that. You know, there's no blueprints or guidelines for a host club of any major event, whether it's a state championship, whether it's a regional, whether it's a U.S. Open. We can do pretty much what we want to do. We can make it as most difficult or as easy as we want. As I travel around the country, I've been doing it for 30 years, whether I'm renting traps, setting targets, or shooting as a competitor. I've been a firm believer since day one that you earn what you get in life. Yeah. You earn what you get on the scorecard. Yes, easy targets, you have to work just as hard, but it's a lot more rewarding and a lot more, word I'm looking for, I'm not sure, but it's a lot more satisfying to hit 7 out of 8 on quality targets than to hit 8 out of 8 on give-me's.
Right.
That's my belief. I think you have fun shoot levels, which we need to start new shooters on. I think we have state shoot levels, which is a step above that as far as grade of targets. I think then we go to regionals, we go to U.S. Open, and then we go to nationals. Nationals you probably won't ever see more difficult than you can see here, but that's my grade of level of difficulty you should see. I'm maybe a minority in that. I'm not out there trying to punish anyone. There's no target out there or no station out there that someone hasn't run. It may be a shooter, maybe a master. We don't know. But somebody's run that station. The question is who can do it the most.
Right.
That's when you come out of the station, hit 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 8 and giving high fives, that's what I want to see you satisfy what you did.
Yeah,
you used
absolutely.
to see that when I was coming up in the early 90s. That's what we saw. That's what we did. We was giving high fives for really shooting well. Now it's just another day at the office.
Yep.
So I'm not going to be like that. I'm a minority, and you will earn what you get at Backwoods. That's just my belief.
Well, I mean, honestly, so far, everything I've seen, you've knocked it out of the park. Everybody's been nothing but smiles all the way around. So hats off to you. Thank you again for putting on this event. We greatly appreciate it.
I can enjoy, I travel around the country competing, which I very well enjoy. I can get just excited about going to an event if I'm going nationals every year as a kid at Christmas. But hosting an event, I can get just as excited. Now, obviously, we got inclement weather. If we return to see mud, which obviously you can tell I don't like, that kind of stuff, I'm not having a good time as a range owner. Y'all not having a good time as a shooters. That's not a good recipe for a good shoot. When we get good weather and we've done our part and everything's working good, hosting a shoot of this side is just enjoyable, just exciting as me competing and winning a shoot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it shows. You've done a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
me. I appreciate everyone coming.
All right. Thank you.
Rick.
Absolutely.
Hey everybody, this is RAD Chad. We're out here at the 2022 U.S. Open. I have two of my favorite people that I've just ran into. Did I? Or were you already here?
Yeah. Just accidentally ran into him.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great. Really good.
No coincidence we're here. It's the U.S. Open.
There you go. So this is an interesting topic because this is something I struggle with myself. So have Grace here, and we've shot together a long time over the years, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while. And technically, we're really good shooters. And a lot of people can shoot their firearms really well at their home clubs or at their home ranges, wherever they're at. And how much do you practice?
I would say pulling the trigger, I would say maximum maybe 3 times a week if I get the time in between lessons. I try to make sure that it's good practice so I don't force it.
How many shells do you think you shoot a week?
500.
Okay. So if you think about that, a lot of people say that gun time is the best time, right? And nothing replaces trigger pulling. And when you're a new shooter, and who we're talking to, that is true. We need to get you guys shooting as much as possible. However, when you get into a situation like this at the 2022 U.S. Open, there's a lot of people and a lot of pressure. So what we do then is we get into the mental game. And that's, for me, you don't want to get up in here. So I know Dawn's itching to, but she's looking at me, she's like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on his head. And it's a mess, sometimes. And sometimes it's not. So we all have those days where we shoot fantastic and sometimes not. And I've noticed this year, especially, you've really ramped it up and you're very consistent. Do you think a lot of it is I don't know, who was that? Oh, it's Rhino. This is where we're at. They're making things. It's a lab back there. Anyway, got off me. Yeah. All right. It's Junebug. So you have been really consistent this year. What do you attribute that for? Do you think it's technique and your gun and all that? And I know that plays a role, but what do you think really has played a role in your success this year?
I'm going to go through my, my checklist.
Yes.
We're our walking billboards here. I am very fortunate to have a Caesar Guerini Invictus 3 that works when I have my Game Bore white golds in it, and those do the job as long as this does the job. I try to practice at different locations so that when I come to these different places, my brain can continue to stay where it is, if I were to be at my home club. But like you said, I'm not hammering 1,000 targets a day. It's trying to make sure I'm conscientious of each shot. So actually, as far as going to each shot, outside of each shot and outside of my shooting game, making sure I'm doing all the things that I can so that I can be 100% here and 100% present. So my shooting has a lot to do with it, but because I'm confident in my equipment and my shooting, it all kind of started to come to a boiling point, and I knew that the next thing I needed to tackle was my brain, because I'm like, what the heck? I know my gun shoots. I'm confident in my shells. Everything feels good. And then I found actually this book was what started it. I had a lot of people tell me about it, but you have to tell yourself, right. I'm stubborn. You have to say, okay, it's time. And that book, actually, 7 Strokes in 7 Days, was where I started with my Dawn program. It has a couple of free hypnosises in it, which I had already kind of been doing pre-Dawn. I wanted to start to meditate a little bit more. So I kind of started to harness my meditation in the right direction. And she helped me do that. And then outside of meditation, you're still being able to be calm and present because you're practicing it more.
So for me, when I'm teaching my students, a lot of them will come to me and say, I need a game. If I had a mental game, I'd be a really good shot. But I look at them as a coach, I'm like, first we got to connect everything with the technical side first. As I know you run that too all the time. But I know at some point I have some really good students, and I'm not a mental coach, and I can only do what I've already learned. So we are either paying the money or we're doing the work with somebody outside of our knowledge and outside of our wheelhouse, and that's where you come in. So Dawn, if anybody hasn't ever seen her before, this is Dawn Grant.
What do you mean? I'm all over social media, though. I make all these videos.
But some people, you never know.
Yeah, I'm Dawn. Hey. Yeah, so I've been working with clay shooters since 2010. But I came out of the closet in 2013.
Wow.
At the U.S. Open.
Congratulations.
With the permission of a top shooter who wanted me to be kept secret. And I came out. And then a lot of the top shooters started referring me customers and clients for the same reason that you just said. They're instructors, and they were seeing things that they didn't know how to help, like worrying, doubting, trying too hard, overthinking, trying to maintain a lead, but then putting too much pressure on themselves, having poor confidence, like just issues from their life, and all. How do you move on from a miss? All these different things, and those instructors didn't know how to help with that, and so those particular instructors were already working with me. At that time, I was doing more like private sessions, and they were flying to me over in Amelia, and then it just took off. Because before that, I was working with golfers and pro basketball players and boxers and all this other stuff. But in this industry, in this circle of folks, it just took off like a wildfire, because people just started telling each other, and it started working, and when you have instructors that refer, then there's just this constant flow of like, these are people that could really use your help. So to me, what I do is the true mental game. There's other people teaching the mental game out there, but that's more like, let's work on your pre-shot, and how do you move on from a miss, which is obviously really great. But I want to look at all the mental things, like I said, worry, doubt, fear, insecurity, second guessing, regret. Why is it that I can do well in practice but not competition? Why is it that I do well at the beginning but not the end? Why is it I do well at the end but not the beginning? How do I stay in the lead when I go into Sunday? Like all that.
Not go.
What?
Yeah, and that's all. So I was already in private practice and already helping people with those things. Just normal people. Not that you guys aren't normal.
Regular old.
Right. Normal people have fear of like flying and relationship issues and fear of heights and fear of bridges and confidence issues. So I was already dealing with worry, doubt, fears, insecurities, anxieties. So it just carried over that I was able to then help people with that related to their sport, because that's ultimately what's happening. If you got the mechanics and you've got the gun and you got the great ammo and you got the great glasses, you got all this great stuff, and you're seeing evidence in your practice, why else would it not be carrying over? There's no other reason for it. To me, it's like driving a car or riding a bike. You've got the mechanics. That doesn't just disappear on Saturday when you go for a bike ride,
But that's a good analogy, because if you continue to ride a bike and you ride a bike every day, and sometimes maybe multiple times a day, and even when you're like, oh, I don't really want to ride a bike, but then you ride the bike anyway, it's the same thing as practicing your mental game. I don't just practice my mental game when I'm shooting.
Right.
You have to correlate it to your relationship, your life, your family, your friends, your everything. I actually started there, and that's how I was able to make it work in my shooting, because if none of that's right, you're not going to be able to do that for yourself.
So speaking of that, this brings me into the next question for you guys. So when you have your shooters out there, this plethora of shooters, and you are going into an event like this, do you work with them all the way up until a certain period of time? Because a lot of our listeners out there are people watching us right now. They're like, oh, we're just going to go to the U.S. Open. We're flying in on Monday. We're not shooting till Thursday or what have you, because you're not even shooting till tomorrow, right? Correct. So is there a program that you, like a little bit of a tidbit you can kind of talk through, like take Grace, for example, what you have, we know what you've given her. There's obviously all of the stuff that you teach, but how you go about that in a, like what we do with lesson plans and stuff like that for the technical side. What do you do with a shooter going into an event like this? It's at the beginning of the year, because one of the questions that always pops up in my mind, because I come from a racing background, I learned how to dominate for a year long, like I could dominate at the beginning of the year, end of the year, but it was a physical format, even though there was some mental there, but we could always get more aggressive because we're racing bicycles. So I haven't really watched anybody really dominate this sport for long periods of time. They're good and they're not good. They're good, they're not good. Is there something that you give these students of yours, something that will give them like checkpoints? And is there an actual program that, besides just practicing it outside of this?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. And you're reminding me actually of when I first started, because I did more private sessions then, and people want to do private sessions on site. And I don't really do that anymore. So I do have a program that includes private sessions, but honestly, after like saying the same things for like 15, 20 years, I was able to develop lessons that are online. So, focus is focus. And somebody's like, my mind wanders all over the place, or I'm thinking about what I'm having for dinner, or I'm still thinking about the previous station. The solution for that is the same. So I put it into a lesson and recorded it. So my clients now are actually, most of them doing an online course. And it takes them through the step-by-step process. So, and they get hypnosis audios with it if they want them. But what they're doing all this prep work, but the prep work is exactly what Grace said. Again, what makes my mental training unique is they are practicing everything I teach in life. Like, not worrying is a human life skill. Not, being able to move on from a miss is like moving on from a deal that didn't go your way, moving on from a relationship that you thought was supposed to be everything and it ended, right? Moving on from a miss. Like, how do you look at things in a healthy and constructive way? And so if you're learning to do that in life, there's no wondering how to do it in shooting. And that's really the prep work. So it's day-to-day life, every waking moment. And in the lessons, I give a ton of examples on how do you apply this in your shooting and how you apply it in your life. But apply it in your life as much as possible. Like, every waking moment. When you're talking to somebody, like, actually listen to them. Engage in them. Don't just nod your head. Like, we all know how you can nod and not really be listening, right? Or yes. And somebody says, how you doing? And you're like, fine. But you're not really even listening to yourself when you answer. So, focus is being engaged. So actually looking at somebody, feeling and hearing what they're saying, and then responding. That's a skill that you can get better at. And that translates to being present with the target. Everything else disappears around you and you're connected with it. Like, if there was a magic pill, that would be it.
And you do it all in such an organized way because she has, if you're on your phone, you can do it. She has an app. If something's bothering you, you can literally pick what topic's bothering you. Focus on your mental game, anger, stress, literally everything. It's insane that if you are spending time on your phone and having a hard time with your mental game, why you wouldn't just go over and check it out. It's really, that's what happened. I just was curious mind.
So what you're saying, to wrap this all up into a big ball, is that you can't just go out and buy a game. You got to work at it.
How about that?
Again.
Yay!
Hypnosis.
Did I get somewhere today? I made it somewhere.
When I first started working with PGA golfers, they were definitely looking for that magic pill. And I was new to the golf community, and these are like famous people, right? So I would go out and I'd give them hypnosis. But 6 months later, they'd say, well, that worked, but now I'm dealing with this. Or I'm still anxious. It's Sunday morning, I'm in the lead, and I'm worried I'm not going to maintain it. And they would call me at 6 a.m. or something. And I would say, if you actually did my training, you wouldn't have to put out the fires.
Right.
Like, the fires will still happen. I give people all the tools to put out the fires, but I also give them the tools to not have the fires. So that's really the shift that starts happening down the road. And it's everything in life. So again, that's what makes my training unique. Is it's not just like, here's a pre-shot routine for your shooting. Like, this is something that transforms you in your life, in your shooting, and you have better performance at everything that's important to you because you're a better person in those situations. Yeah.
So, would you say that a lot of people will say this, and I kind of believe this, and I always waver one way or the other, but a lot of people say that this game is confidence. And if you have confidence in your mental abilities, your physical abilities, your gun, your equipment, then it puts an X on the scorecard, and then that X gives you more confidence to be able to do it again. And then you see a run. And I've always felt like at my level, and even your level, confidence is a huge thing. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, there's one of the lessons I talk about confidence, and I say it's like a bowling ball. So if you can imagine like a lane with a bunch of pins, confidence will swipe out all those pins. So if you think about it, worry is someone who doesn't have confidence in something. Doubt is they don't have confidence in something. Second guessing, they don't have confidence in something. Don't break it. Don't break it.
I'm not going to break it, I promise. No breaking.
Flinching. is a second guess. It's a hiccup.
Yep.
It's an instant doubt of should I do it or not, and it happens in golf too. It's called the yips.
There's a hand
So,
being raised
Lynch,
behind that camera.
I
You guys
know.
don't see that.
We're talking about Jason Rambo over here. Jason Rambo.
I know. He's got the information right here. Get rid of your flinches. Confidence will swipe out a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
But here's something interesting that I figured out over these years. You don't have to win. You don't have to get the X to get confidence. A lot of people, because of their own cuckoo-ness, they can win and still tear themselves down because it wasn't good enough.
Yep.
It wasn't right. You still screwed up on this. And so they're...
Being a lady concurrent, that happens often when you think you should be at the very top of the list and you win, ladies. You should be proud of yourself. That's an accomplishment. Why didn't you get to the top of the list? No, stop it. Yeah. Work harder the next time. That's how you get there. There's no, that wasn't good enough. That was good. You did good. You need to continue doing that to get there. Yeah. Not, you stink, start all over. No, that was good. Start there. Exactly. That's great.
Exactly. And so you can build confidence in the misses. You can build confidence when you thought you lost. You can build confidence when you won, and when you did well. But you can also decrease your confidence in every single one of those areas if you don't know how to think right.
That is big information right there. Oh, yeah. So last question of the day. I know you got some shooting to go out and do. So good luck this week. You're melting. It is hot here, people. I'm from the West Coast. It's not this hot. Anyway, Dawn, what do you have going on? I know you have a bunch of stuff to talk about. Like you have some new things. And I see a notepad over there with a lot of scribbling on. So I know you got some cool things to offer everybody out there.
Well, the biggest new thing is my app, Mind Mastered. Yay! Mind Mastered I've been working on it for 2 years. Yeah, well, that's just Dawn Grant mental training, but Mind Mastered, it's just really small. It's an app where I pre-recorded hypnosis inductions, which are meditation inductions, and then a bunch of suggestions that are categorized like peak performance or sleep or weight loss, or wellness, relationships. And there's all these pre-recorded suggestions. And then there's what I call an emerge out, and you can even put background music. But you go through this really quick process of making your own hypnosis audios just by clicking and choosing, and then it compresses it and makes an audio. And you can make as many as you want. You could have one for a relationship, you can have one for sleeping better, you can have one for peak performance. Anyways, that's my newest product. But what I want to share, the Dead Pair podcast, I made a hypnosis audio only for Dead Pair podcast listeners. It's exclusive. I'm not selling it on my website. The last time we announced it, hundreds of people came and got it. So I can tell people are out there, they're interested, even though some people are weirded out by hypnosis. There's a lot of, I don't know why it works. But so the free hypnosis audio is called Shooting with Confidence. And then what I added for this podcast and all the listeners is 2 free weeks in the Optimal Clay Shooter Mind Game online course. So all you do is you go to dawngrant.com and then you do the /Dead Pair, and you'll see the page where you opt in and you get both of those things. And then the only other thing is that Grace has a percentage discount code that she could benefit from.
If you want to go ahead and use GRACC10, that'll save you 10%. $10. I'm sorry, $10.
On any of the hypnosis audios. Yeah, so that's the goodies.
Well, there it is, folks. So you have 2 of the best in the industry at what they do. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And I've already started playing with it. It's pretty cool. So you guys should too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
everyone. Jason Rambo. I am here with Alex Clark from formerly Behind the Break, and I wanted to introduce Alex. We're going to turn it over to Chad here in just a minute. Alex, Behind the Break was a big inspiration for Sean and I, and, you know, unfortunately you guys were shutting down, and I felt like there was a void. And that was a big part of the reason why we did our podcast. So thank you, first of all. Secondly, I really wanted to have you on for a couple of reasons. One, you've been shooting phenomenal. And two, as a club owner and being here and seeing what it takes to put all this on, what's your whole big take on the 2022 U.S. Open?
Wow, Rick's done an amazing job. This place couldn't be any better. I mean, it's manicured from head to toe. The amount of detail he's put into this place is phenomenal. The signage, I mean, how many thousands of dollars in signage. Just went the extra mile every way he could to make this place look as good as it does. Definitely an amazing job to him and his team.
Well, another thing too, so back to your shooting, you know, I've been following you quite a bit, and here it seems like the last year and a half, man, you've kind of wicked it up a little bit. Is there anything you can attribute that to? Yeah,
if you do it long enough, there's going to come a point where you're going to have to either take it serious or quit. I'm nowhere near quitting, so I figured I might as well, make the most of it. Also, having a job where I'm able to go shoot and practice as much as I need to compete at a high level also helps a lot.
Well, and if you don't mind, we'll bring that up. You're working for Agromed, who is a big sponsor of this shoot, and that guy likes to shoot too, so that kind of had to help a little bit, right?
Absolutely. A lot of people ask, what is Agromed? Jokingly, I'm like, we're a shooting team that sells products to the poultry industry.
That's about the best way to describe it too, right? You got to fund your habits somehow. Hey, RAD Chad, what are you doing over there? We're waiting on you, buddy. But anyway, Alex, is there, before I let you go, turn you over to RAD Chad. He's always full of interesting questions. Is there anything similarity-wise that you've picked up from our podcast to Behind the Break that you're like, hey, stop that?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think you guys do a great job.
Well, we appreciate that. And like I said, you are our inspiration. Thank you very much. Appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. RAD Chad's got a couple questions for you, bud. Thank you.
We're going to bring it back old school here. Coming in. No, just kidding. We're not going to do this. Just kidding. The lid's still on it. Hey, Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
So I'm going to come in and ask some fireball questions. So, all right. So a lot of people may or may not know who Alex is. They've heard his name. They've heard him talk online or on the podcast in the past. I know. Are you still shooting the DT11?
No.
What are you shooting now?
Beretta SL3.
Holy smokes. Now, this is a gentleman that was doing pretty good, and he was kind of in there, and obviously the bug hit you if you went with that firearm, right?
Yeah, I mean, might as well, right?
So what brought you to do that?
I'm not a big guy, small frame guy. That gun was the best fit for me. Slim, thin line. I can see around the gun. The weight's balanced really well in the middle. I can move the gun well. I had to go with it.
So when you switched, do you think that's when it started clicking for you and you start putting up the numbers that I keep seeing?
Well, the whole swapping of the job came along about the same time. So being afforded the luxury to go practice as much as I need to compete also helped a lot.
So speaking of that, if you don't mind, how many rounds would you say from January until now have you put down range?
January of this year?
Yes, sir.
5,000.
Yep. See, so not everybody has to do it, and I've always said this. Cory and I and Anthony always say it as coaches. If you can afford it and you can go to a club and are you part of a club or own a club, you can shoot as much as you want. If you have the ammo, get it done. There's nothing that can fix or prepare you like trigger time. But if you don't, just make whatever you're shooting 100%. If you're going to shoot 100 targets, make them the best dang 100 targets that you can shoot so you can learn something from that, or you're just wasting ammo.
I agree entirely. I used to shoot, well, obviously I still shoot, which I own a gun club too. That helps a lot. But started, when the big tournaments start to approach, instead of just firing a lot of shells downrange, I went to a lot more higher quality practice over quantity. So fewer shells with a lot more intense focus.
Yeah, so what I call that from my coaching side is we put the flag stick up. I'll have my students go out and shoot for score, or shoot so many pairs without missing, or you got to start over. They get 4 or 5 stations down. They miss a bird, they got to go all the way back to number 1 maybe, just to get them to put as much pressure on it. They get mad sometimes because they want to make it through, but that's how you get the work done. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Cool. So, all right, some more cool questions. Do you have a list? And what I mean by the list is when I have a list, and that list is anybody I always want to beat. And as I beat them, I check them off. Now, I don't remove them from my list. I always just keep on checking. Some guys have more checks than others. And I've been at this game for a long time. Yes, Jason, you're one of my checks. Do you have a list? Is that the type of thought process, like that competition drive that you have? I come from the BMX background where we're always racing against other people, so you're not necessarily just racing against yourself. And then you're in this game, and it's a little monotonous, but you're still competing against yourself, putting up a score. But at the end of the day, you're going after somebody. Do you have a list? That's what I want to know.
I can't say that I have a list. It's always nice scrolling online and seeing the people that you beat. The larger names, it always feels good to you best them by a target or two here and there. But I can't say that I actually have a list. I just try to go and kill every single target that I can and let the chips fall where they may.
Do you have a coach that you work with?
Yes. I've been working for the last year or so with Zach. Really like his ideas, and he's super relaxed, and I think I was really intense, so that kind of suits me. His personality and how he shoots really suits me, slowing me down, and his methods and all. So yeah, definitely I work with Zach. I actually more recently went and took a lesson from Will Fennell in FITAS. Been shooting FITAS a long time, just going out, low gun, throw the gun up, let it ride. Scores were always 7 to 8 targets different, lower than my sporting. And I'm like, if I'm going to be out here doing this, why keep doing the same old thing? So I need some instruction. And I'll say he told me some things that I've been shooting a long time. I've been shooting since I was 8. I'm 35 now. He told me some things that I've never thought about, and it just blew my mind. Instantly, my scores started going up. So yeah, you can teach an old dog new tricks, I'd say.
Do you have his video like I do?
I think I do.
Yes. That's awesome. I do. Yeah, because I think Will's just amazing at FITASC and the knowledge that he has. I've been around a long time. I kind of study those guys because I wanted to be a coach, but I also study the game. I'm sure you do too. You own a club, so you kind of have to, right?
Yeah. So. And that's like a formal lesson, I would call it. Those two guys shoot. Me and KD been buddies a long time. We go out, shoot all the time. Him giving me advice here and there might as well be a lesson. We don't call it a lesson, but yeah, I take advice from anywhere it's given.
So it's like a journey, always a journey.
Right.
That's cool. So do you have any big shoots coming up at your place?
No. We're a small club. We haven't pushed toward the NSCA side of things. It's we do a lot of benefits throughout the year, helping people out when they need it. We kind of keep it small. It's small, friendly, and good targets. So we kind of keeping it that hidden jewel, where you can get some good practice in.
And is it public?
Absolutely.
What's it called and where is it at?
Gator Creek Sporting Clays. They're in McBrayer, Georgia.
So Gator Creek, you got to go see it. I need to go down there and see it. So does Zach come to you, or do you go to Zach? Because I know Zach. Zach and I used to hang out a long time. And does he come to you, or do you have to go pick him up?
It's been both ways, actually.
There you go.
It's the last time he came to me.
There you go. Hey, Zach got out and got in a car and drove to you. That's good. Yeah. No, look, when I first got with him, he wasn't a coach. And he was like, I can't help you. You're my buddy. You're my best friend at the time. You were on the West Coast. Let's go shoot. But he was like, you need to go see Anthony because you run a pipe. He runs a pipe. He's going to teach you how to shoot an auto correctly. And it was probably the best money I ever spent. It was a lot of money, but I got to go to the East Coast. I got to see different targets, and it started my journey. And then, coming back home, and then Zach got into teaching. And I remember when he first started teaching at our club where we're at, and we were teaching together, doing corporate groups or whatever. The coach that he was then, everybody, because I'll throw him under the bus, is not the same guy you got today. This dude is good now. And he's a plethora of information about the game that I can't believe it's actually still there in his head. So.
Yeah, he's an encyclopedia of knowledge. I mean, he can rattle stuff off from. He's been doing it forever, so he names off targets and places and shot this target like this and 20 years ago, and you're like, man, how do you remember this kind of stuff?
It's crazy. Anthony's the same way. So going back to the 2022 U.S. Open, what do you think of the place? What do you think of the targets so far?
Well, obviously, you know what I think of the grounds. They're amazing. Everything's to the T. The targets are U.S. Open quality targets. I mean, I expect this when I came here. I knew what I was in for. Rick's going to make sure this ain't going to be a missing out tournament. You're going to have to grind it all 3 days to see who wins this, and that's exactly what it was.
And I think this is just going to make us as a country and as a group of shooters as a whole. If you're here shooting these targets, even if you got smoked today, depending on the course you're on, I was actually on a course, I was on 694. It's definitely a 62, 64 out of 66. I think somebody might even run it, maybe not if they're on a good day. So they're giving us a lot of different targets, it looks like. Excellent targets. But I agree with you. I think if everybody's shooting it and they get done, I think it's just going to make us all better, even the lower classes.
Absolutely. Yep. I can't tell you the last time I zeroed a station. I shot the DT11 course today, and I came out of there, I zeroed a station, and was on to the next one. Like, I'm not going to be the only person to miss on this course. And I think that as a group entirely, we've gotten these big monster scores, and people aren't used to missing. So I think it's a breath of fresh air to go out and actually have to work for some targets.
That's awesome. So who would you like to thank? Who's the sponsors or anybody you would like to thank for helping you out?
Agromed. That's where I work. Trey Graham at Agromed. My boss, my partner at Gator Creek. Couldn't be here without him. So that's really all I got.
There you go.
Cole Gunsmithing for my gun, for putting together me a great gun, keeping it serviced, keeping me out on the course rolling.
What ammo, glasses, all the other good stuff? Do you wear a pouch, jacket?
Yep. I wear a vest. I wear a Castellani. I shoot B&P ammo, 1 ounce 1300 Mach 2s, pure gold chokes, and
let it grind.
Yeah, that's right. Let it eat. Let it eat.
Let it eat. Well, thank you very much. It's good to talk to you. Good luck for the rest of the weekend. Hopefully we'll see you on the podium at the end of the weekend.
Hey, maybe so. You never know.
There you go. Welcome back to the 2022 U.S. Open. This is RAD Chad Roberts. I'm here with none other than 2018 world champion, English world champion, Cory Kruse. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve. I mean, licking my wounds after the main event, but otherwise can't complain.
That's really cool. So I had a lot of questions. I've known you for a long time. Little backstory. One of the first times I ever got to hang out with Cory is we did a pro shoot down in Garwood, Texas. And Cory's like, hey, I need to get home. I'm tired. Can you drive my truck? And I had to go to Houston to fly home. I'm like, I don't know this guy. He's like, it's a Ford. You can drive it. And I get in the car. I'm like, I'm hanging out with this bad dude, Cory Kruse. And then he just falls asleep on me. So I'm staring at this guy going down the freeway. And I'm like, I got this really cool cat next to me, and what do I say? What do I do? Well, doesn't matter. He was sleeping. So that also that same weekend, I got squatted with you, Anthony, and Zach, and I think Brian Hughes, and they stuck me behind this guy. And I could never figure out why. And they said because you shot targets so fast back then, coming off the trap, that they never had a chance to look at them. So they figured if they put me behind you, since I was like a B-class shooter then, that they'd be able to get some targets that they could see.
The guinea pig, right?
I was. So fast forward, long friendship. I'm actually a teammate of yours on Blaser, which is awesome. We have a new guy over there, Josh. And it seems like things are going to go really well for us moving forward. And we're going to get back in the game in the U.S. like they are in the European market.
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome to have Josh back over here. So, Alabama boy, he was over in Germany at headquarters, for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years. So, I mean, you're not going to find a guy that knows more about the brand, about the company, about all the values that makes Blaser the company that it is. And that's why we're obviously out here shooting that gun, just because one, it shoots good, but two, the customer service. And over the years, as they've had their struggles, just like any company goes through, it's great having Josh back here just to kind of bring life back to the company and shape things up and get things back rolling again. So really excited he's here, man. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and we just have such a great team. So speaking of which, like with the Dead Pair gang and who we're talking to all the time, we're always going after that new shooter, that's got the bug like Crispy does, and they're just spending a lot of money. They're going at it. And I know you prepare a lot every time you shoot, but as you have been around for a long time, you know exactly how to do it, when to do it, so you can kind of sort of peak when you need to. And I noticed that you haven't been shooting a lot this year. So I follow you, I talk to you. You've helped me with my training to get me back in gear of where I need to be, and I'm shooting probably better than I have since probably 2016. How were you able to come out of not really shooting much this year on a lot of big tournaments with good targets and come down to Texas State and just put a whipping on all of us?
I don't know, man. It's a kind of a difficult one to answer, but I feel like, I don't know. This is 25 years consecutive that I've been on the All-American team. So I mean, that right there will tell you that for 25 years I've put a lot of hard work and effort into it. Been fortunate enough to travel the game and study the game with the world's best. With Anthony Matarese and Greg Wolf and Travis Mears, we've shot basically every major together for the longest time. And on younger years, Anthony and I are both products of Dan Carlisle. And something that Dan instilled in us at a really young age was just a good understanding of the game, and built a great foundation that we grew upon. And then Anthony and I are studying it together. More so Anthony, and I'm learning. I have learned a ton from him. But as I've checked out over the years mentally with the game, and he's always been 100%. And so we're all slack up a little bit, a quick conversation. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, well then I'm right back in it. So with all that being said, now to answer your question, it's to the point where I feel like I don't have to shoot as much as a lot of people do, just because I've got a great understanding of the game. I know what it takes. There's, between your form mechanics, your timing, your mental game, whenever you understand all that, you know how to practice that. And when you know how to practice that, you can, by lack of better words, if there's a leak somewhere, you know how to patch that leak up and get it going. Now, from a competitive standpoint, I've always just, this is a little bit vulnerable, but I mean, I don't want to get left behind. And so there's a time that I've practiced really, really hard. I've worked really hard and studied it. And to the point to where, alongside what I was saying a second ago about that understanding, that I have been able to just patch that hole up enough to be blessed enough to win. I mean, I can't really categorize it any better than that, other than, the talent level nowadays is absolutely mind-boggling. There's, I don't know how many, 1,400 people here? And it's still the same, I don't know if you could say 25 guys or 50 guys or even 15 guys that are really capable of winning this tournament, being that the target difficulty is where it is. But experience pays off, I guess. I didn't really exhibit that today in the main event, but we still have 2 more days, which is really cool. And so, just been lucky enough to shoot well, win some stuff in the past. But I guess where I was going with that is it's anybody's game nowadays. Whoever just happens to be good this weekend. 2 weeks ago we had the World Championship, and then 2 weeks before that we had the Browning Briley, and then before that there was a bunch of shoots out in Florida. I didn't go to those. Browning Briley was my first shoot, so I think for me it's been a lot more shooting than I'm used to. Being we had the Browning Briley, an off week, World Championships, Texas State off week, and then here we are at the U.S. Open. That's 4 majors in about a month and a half, and that's way overboard for what I'm used to. Now 10 years ago that was normal. 15 years ago that was I used to shoot a ton more than that, and so the experience side of that has kind of paid it forward to now, to where we just know where that leak is, patch it up, and get it going. I think there's something to be said about talent level balance with your heart posture on where your competitive edge is, because there's sometimes we get all wound up and our heart's in it and we really want to work hard and go do it, and that really pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. It even stings more, but
sure does.
It definitely brings a lot more intensity back to the practice field and the effort level that you put in and what you get out. And so it's all a balance. There's my mind gets a little bit ahead of my mouth. I'm thinking about so many different things because there's a ton of things that go into it, and so this is going to be a fun one to see who comes out on top. That's for sure.
So with that being said, if you were talking to somebody that's thinking about coming to a big shoot like this, because now it seems like the regionals, the U.S. Open, national championships, even the Worlds every other year or whatever, are really big shoots here, and it can be intimidating because, like you said, there's 1,400 people here, and it's anybody's game. What would be one thing, maybe a couple things you can give a light on? Some people get so wrapped up in their equipment. They're like, I got to have this choke, I got to have this, and I've had these conversations with you myself, right? Like where technique was where I thought my biggest hurdle was, and it wasn't. It was getting in sync with a bird, for example. At my level, it wasn't all that other stuff that I've already got years and years of practice with. So if you were talking to somebody at even a little bit lower level than that, what would be something that you would say, obviously come out and try it, come out and do it. You might get, stung a little bit because some of these targets are just, devastating even at the pro level. What would you tell them how to prepare to come for something like this?
Basically start off with, you're not competing against the pool, you're competing against yourself in your own ability level. It's, we can all shoot good on our best day, we can all shoot terrible on our worst day, right? And so, when you gauge it to that point, you don't get beat up mentally as bad. You get out of it what you put into it. Secondly, whenever you come to a big tournament like this, equipment pays off. I mean, you look at the statistics, it's not highlighted as much as it should be, but the all around at these events to me is a big deal. We might have 600 targets that we're separated by 1 to 2 shots. What does that tell you? Well, it's like football, it could be a game of inches, right? And what could get you that next little inch? What could get you that next little bird? Well, traditionally, there's a lot of guys, some past greats in the sport that don't really shoot much anymore that would argue the fact that we shoot too tight of chokes. I would agree with that. I've had some success with shooting some more open chokes, and I think right now I'm still shooting a little bit tighter than I should, but at confidence level. So you could have your gun modified, take a little recoil out. You could have your chokes done, or aftermarket chokes that give you a little bit better pattern. You could have your gun fit. You could have a custom stock. You could meet a lot of good people. You could watch a lot of good people. So there's tons of different things that you can pick up here that you could not do anywhere else. So putting it in a different a different lens on it. If I'm not a golfer, but I love to play golf whenever I get a chance. If I was to go to the U.S. Open golf tournament, one, I couldn't play, so it's not really apples to apples. But if I went there and I got to watch all those guys and I got to be around a lot of guys that have the same heart posture of learning, there's a lot of stuff I could pick up. So from a competitor standpoint, between the opportunities that you have here with all the different vendors that can do things on site, check you out, talk to people, ask questions, you can learn and you can get a lot of work done. You're really missing out on a huge opportunity on multiple levels by not being here. And then if you are here, take advantage of everything. Don't be, it's a small world, and it's cool that there's very few people out here, if any, that aren't just happy to answer a question for you. And someone that I've never seen or never met in my life, or some guy that I've seen for a long time, man, everybody's approachable. Come up and ask a question. We're so happy to answer, because one, it is a small sport, but two, we want everyone to always be on a growth scale that's wanting to do better. And any way we can expedite that, we want to be there for them. So,
all right. So now we get into the fun stuff. So if I got this right, you got custom stock on your gun? Yes, no?
Yeah, it's custom stock, and what does a custom stock mean to most people? Like, well, it's not just right out of the box. Custom stock means that it's actually form fitted to you. So an analogy would be like a fitted baseball glove. You go and buy one off the rack and it doesn't fit your hand at all, but you soak it in the right oils and whatnot and use it a little bit, it form fits to your hand. Now, if I was to borrow your ball glove, is it going to fit my hand? Not even close.
That's right.
But so over time, my stock is form fitted to me to where, like, if hypothetically my eyes are closed and I mount the gun up, it should come up perfect. Why is a gun fitted to you? A shotgun fitted to you? Well, it's for a point of impact issue, so that actual gun, it's for lack of better words, it's like a rifle, getting it sighted in to where that gun shoots exactly where you expect it to. Not some people would say where you're looking. Well, I can be pointing at this and looking up at that cloud. It ain't gonna shoot there. It shoots where I expect it to shoot, right? And so whether, I don't know where you have your gun shooting, yours might be 50-50 shooting dead flat. I like my gun shooting a little bit higher.
60-40, 60-40. Remember that.
40. It's a perfect setup for sporting clays just because of all the different angle, speed, and distance that we deal with. Skeet shooters have their setup. Trap shooters have their setup. ZZ shooters, pigeon shooters, all this sort of stuff. So, yes, your question is, yes, I have a custom stock, but for that reason and with that understanding.
So, Rhino Gen 1s?
Yeah, man, I'm a sucker for the Rhino Gen 1s. I love them. There's nothing against the Gen 2s, but I think it's all in my head. Cool. Yeah, the Gen 1s, I'm kind of like an old school guy. I'm an old soul, so I like the originals, and I like the classy old school look of them,
And then I know you have porting. I know you've talked with the Dead Pair gang about that. You can go on their YouTube with Dead Pair and watch a gun that's not ported and watch Cory shoot it ported, and it is a huge difference. Trust me, guys, that was no faking around right there. All right, what else you got? You got different glasses. You got anybody you want to talk about that you use that's really important to you that you can't live without when you come to these shoots?
Man, it's all of them. You can't. It takes a village. Between the guns, the ammunition that you run through it. I shoot for Aguila ammunition.
The Mexican hammer.
Oh man, there's so much even more than that. Those things just absolutely grind birds. The heart posture of the company. Looking at the youth shooters and trying to keep the market where it should be, so that. I was gonna say, ta-da! But either which way, no. I mean, game boards are a great shell too. I actually won a national championship shooting game boards. They're great too. And again,
I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, it's a great company. It's such a small industry. You can't throw dirt at anyone. They're all great. The point of it is, with everything going on in this crazy world, it's expensive to shoot. We as a industry need to figure out how we can do to still make it more affordable to shoot, not so much for us, but for the younger crowd, the 4-H shooters. And that plays right back into what I was talking about. It takes a village, right? Well, you have your gun companies, you have your ammo companies, you have your companies like Rhino that do a lot of aftermarket work to make your gun more in a sense of most people don't go shoot more than 50 shells at a time. Your average guy, right? Your dove hunter, your wing shooter. But when you come out to shoot sporting clays, it could be 250 is just a warm-up round on a practice day, right? Well, after go out and shoot 250 rounds through a gun that's not tricked out, and you can go talk to my hometown chiropractor. It's Dr. Tony Maxwell in Wimberley, and he sees me once, twice a week whenever I'm home, trying to get the discs set in the right spot in my neck and in my shoulder, just from all the years that I shot as a kid, shooting big 1 1/4 ounce, a gun that wasn't fit, and just I'm a Texas boy, so if you can't handle the recoil, you're a sissy. Like, well, part of that's true, but a second part of that is be smart about it.
Hey, in California, we run big loads too. Okay, come on now.
Hey man, careful about California. But the fact of it is if there's someone out there that's willing to add value to your game, give them go hear them out. Look at the facts, like you said, that video. I can prove to you on video that my gun kicks less, and what does that do for my game? Well, I get less recoil, so I'm less fatigued. I've got faster recovery time because of the porting, because of the balance, and it's a combination between the gun, the chokes, the porting, the work that's done into it, and the ammunition.
So it really comes down to confidence, right? So if you have confidence in everything you're shooting, you're not just taking a paycheck, you're not just shooting something because somebody else is shooting it. It's because when you grab onto it, you trust that it can do everything you want to do. That just takes so much pressure off you. Wouldn't you say that?
I'll even go a couple layers deeper. I don't shoot for one company that I'm just simply paid to do. That's not that. I'm lucky enough that I get to partner with the companies that have the best. And so essentially, why do I do it that way? Well, it adds the most value to my game. There's no one else out there that I would choose to do something that would outweigh the package that I'm actually using right now. So in that sense, pretty blessed guy that I get to do that.
I think we all are. Anybody that has a sponsorship in this game is pretty blessed.
That's right. But how do you get confidence in that aspect? Well, you've used it and you've proven it. And so, that you don't just get confidence by ego. That's that doesn't last. You've tried it, you've tested it, and you've proven it to your brain that it works, why it works, and that it can't be beaten. So therefore, that's what builds your confidence.
Are you going to let us know about the old trick about removing beads? Because you have a big thing about beads. I know you know where your gun's at. I know you've been shooting a long time, so it's very subconscious, but you still got to know where the barrel's at. And you were talking inside the Rhino trailer back there where all the magic happens about a little trick that we used to do, and we still do it to this day with some people's guns. And that is, there's beads on the gun, and we use them. But you do it a little differently, and I want you to give that little secret out if you don't mind.
Well, again, it'll trace back to Dan Carlisle, and it's just stuff that where there's a will, there's a way. There's sometimes take to desperate measures, right? So production guns come out of the box with either high-vis sights or factory beads or fiber optic. Not fiber optic. What do you call it? Is that what it?
Yeah,
what
it's
it is?
fiber optic.
Okay, so lots of slang term, glowworms and et cetera. And it's not to knock it because it has its purpose, it has its time and whatnot. But to a certain extent, depending on where you're at in the game, and this isn't saying that I'm farther than someone else, but for what works for my brain, I don't need to see the barrel as visible as someone else does. I actually try harder to not see as much barrel because I have so much familiarity with sight pictures and leads and all that sort of stuff. And what that does for you in the moment of the shot, if you're switching your vision from trying to see something on the clay versus the picture, the lead, where the barrel's at sort of stuff, in that instant that shift happens, most people stop their gun. It's just your brain processing. It's just a natural phenomenon, right? Now, if you put a big sight on there and you're a little bit tight from the pressure of a tournament or whatnot, and you have this bait hanging right in front of you, like, hey, look at me. I'm big and bright, and I'm here to show you where I'm at. Well, I don't want to see that. I want to see the target on the bird, and I don't want to have any distraction. So that's why I've chose to just knock the beads off of the gun and just show me something to where that I'm looking down the middle of the rib. Because over time, we can, eat a bag of Doritos and our cheeks get a little bit bigger, or we can, do that sort of stuff. Your gun fit can change really, really quickly. And so just having a reference point that everything's, all systems go, everything's checked out. And now just look at the bird. And if you need to resort back, there's some shots that you can't see well. You can't see the target very well. And I'll intentionally just look at the picture. And I really want to know where that bead's at. So therefore, what I've done is I just take the factory beads off, and I just use about what terminology-wise, if you understand what I'm talking about, is the mid bead. And I'll put the mid bead up front, and that's it. And that'll show me what I need to see in the time when I actually want to see it.
And if you can't find a mid bead, or if your gun didn't come with one, but there's a hole up there, what's one other trick that you can do?
We'll take a WD-40 straw and put a lighter on it, get it melted just to where it's viscous enough to go in that hole, let it set, trim it off, maybe hit it with the lighter a few more times to just shape it, because sometimes it'll just melt fat, and then you just shape it up to you get that sight picture that you're looking for. And hopefully the pressure of the shot doesn't blow it out, and sometimes you got to hit it with the lighter a few more times, and that works.
Is that something you're going to start a business with Rhino?
No, they do things right. They're not into cutting corners like that. But sometimes if you're in the field, you gotta jump to desperate measures. But usually that's a sign, like sucks for them, because they got to dig a bunch of melted plastic out of the gun to do it right. So
there you go. So you have anything else to add as far as thanking anybody or whatever?
Yeah, man, the list is too long. I know I'll miss somebody, but besides Blaser, Aguila, Rhino, Pila, ESP, Laporte, wife, kid, family, parents, everyone that, whether they still shoot or don't shoot anymore, they know what I'm talking about. It takes a village, and there's a lot of guys besides, just my coach, Dan Carlisle, and my buddies, Travis, Anthony, and Greg, that have been a big part of partnering with me from start to finish to now, that have played a huge role in it, and they know who they are.
Well, let's go get them this weekend, Cory. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Over at the Dead Pair. Right on.
Absolutely.
Thanks, bud. Way to go, Clipper. You gotta get on there together. Oh, Lord. All right. Hey, we're back here at the 2022 U.S. Open. I'm here with Josh McBrayer from Blaser, as you can see by this thing.
Welcome. Thanks, guys. I'm Josh McBrayer. I'm new director of sales.
Give me that. I'm supposed to be doing this,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So talk.
So anyway, we're out here at the U.S. Open 2022. Absolutely smoking hot, but we're happy to be here. Everybody's having a great time. We're working on guns. We've got Tom. We've got gunsmiths out here. We're demoing guns. It's an absolutely beautiful course. We're excited to be here. Like I said, this is my second event since the Nationals. We're trying to get out more and see more people and make our presence known a little more. We've got a lot on the calendar for this year. This is just our second event. We'll be out again next month at the Cardinal. We'll be at SCTP. We'll be at the Ohio State. We're going to do Nationals. We're at the World Skeet. So early in the year, we're kicking it off. And like I said, this is just an awesome event, a great place to be to start the year, man. I mean, like I said, excited to be here, and yeah.
So over at the Dead Pair podcast, what we're doing is we're reaching out to those newer shooters, those guys getting into the game. Maybe we get them stuck and we really get them hooked in, and we get them out here competing. And one thing about Blaser, one of the reasons why I signed with the team when they offered the contract was the modularity of the gun. And I was taken into the building and they're like, what do you want? And I'm like, can I build anything? And I took a stock from one gun and a barrel from another gun, a forend from another, and I built this gun. I went outside and I was like, oh my God, this is it.
It's a super cool platform. I mean, we've got our flat ribs, we've got our mid ribs, we've got our high ribs. If you're shooting up with a barrel set, you've got the same stock receiver with that modularity. All your barrel weights are the same. Swap them in and out. You've already got the feel for your gun. You know what you're shooting. Swap in a sub-gauge barrel, and you already know what you've got. So it's a cool system.
Yeah, and from a teacher's concept or an instructor concept, if I have somebody that wants to try out a new gun, like a Blaser, I can take one and say, okay, what do you want? And I can do all that switching without having to send the gun back to the factory to have fitted. So that gun will work right away. Now, with that being said, and the way the frames are made, and a lot of people know what a Blaser F16 or a Blaser F3 is, but outside of that, Blaser's kind of been dormant over the couple of years. They got some great world championship titles, national titles, with Bill McBrayer and my favorite, Cory Kruse, and myself. I've done some state titles and stuff like that. I know I'm getting there. Hopefully Don Grant will help me and I'll really get there, but we'll see what happens, and I got a feeling it's going to work out. So, but the presence that you're talking about, I didn't understand it when he came over and started talking to us. I see this bearded dude over here and he's talking to me about, we want to get back at it. And if you guys go into Germany or anywhere in the European market, Blaser has just a gnarly foothold on the market. And, I've always said it, dollar for dollar, that gun with the trigger system is the best in the market. The modularity, it hammers targets, it works. I could say it's a poor man's, pro level tool. I can say it's a high flute, and I never shoot it, and you can make it look as crazy as you want. The barrels are easy to work on if you want to port it with Rhino and put some Rhino chokes in it. So there's a lot of things you can do. But you got a guy that comes out of Bass Pro. He buys one of those, I don't know, whatever gun it is. It's some $400 semi-automatic. It's all composite. They go out, they shoot it. They get just completely ingrained in the game. They're like, oh, I love this stuff. And you just get them hooked, or they come see me and they have a good time with RAD Chad, and I get them hooked. And then they go, oh wait, I need a gun. I don't want to spend $12,000, $14,000 on a Perazzi or a Krieghoff. What would you say to them to go look at a Blaser?
I mean, like I said, I'm gonna hold it.
Yep.
Blaser's a cool gun. It's a German. It's a cool, the modularity on the German platform. I mean, it's a tank of a gun, right? I mean, I think we all start, whether it's motorcycles or cars or rifles, shotguns, pistols. I mean, we all start at entry level. I think a Blaser shotgun is a great thing to step into because of that modularity. Allows you to shoot a lot of different disciplines. You can get the barrel sets. You can learn especially when you're starting out. You've got your multiple barrel sets with the same weight. You've learned on one platform, and you can learn multiple disciplines with that same shotgun. So it is cost effective. By no means is it an entry level shotgun. I mean, these are high price performance competition shotguns. But with anything, you get what you pay for. So again, when you buy into the Blaser, the brand, it's a family. I mean, we all shoot together, we hang out here together. You'll be taken care of. I mean, when you spend $400, $500 on a shotgun, you don't get a lot of what comes with being part of the Blaser family. And that's not just Blaser. There's a ton of great brands out here. But we take pride in being a part of the Blaser family, whether it's with our service, whether it's with our warranty, whether it's hanging out here at the US Open and, sitting at the trailer in between shoots, and even now at 6 in the evening hanging out doing one of these. I mean, it's a cool product and family to buy into. So I love it. I shoot it. I'm a mid-rib guy. I know you're already.
I'm a flat rib guy. Flat rib all the way, baby.
He's already done it forever. But It's like I said, it's like with anything. You spend a little money, you get a little more. And for the young shooters to come in, I think with a little spend, you get a lot.
Right.
So
yeah, dollar for dollar, the service, the everything that's offered by the company, it's just really great. Obviously, they take care of me because I'm a sponsored shooter, but I'm going to tell you right here, and I'm saying it on the Dead Pair podcast, even if I didn't have a sponsor from Blaser, I'd probably shoot the firearm because it just works and I know how to work on it. And I don't have to wait. I'm in California, so if I have to send it back somewhere to Texas or East Coast or somebody to work on it, I don't have the time, nor do I have the patience for that. So I can take the firing pins out, I can work on the triggers, I can change the barrels really quick. It's just easy to work on, and it's kind of like when you're trying to struggle on the tour and you're a pro and you're making it happen. You may not have the pro circuit Yamaha, but you got that you have the Blaser, right? So so it's a great gun. We absolutely love the support that you do for the sport. A lot of people don't get enough credit, whether it's you guys, Craigoff, or any of these companies that are out here that put the time, the travel time, the cost to get out here. We absolutely appreciate it. The Dead Pair podcast gang loves you guys. We love you, and we just want to get it out there, take somebody out shooting, as the big show always says, large and in charge. So, you just get them out there, shoot it up, and kill some targets, and have fun with it.
Yeah, and I think that's important for us. I mean, we have a lot of young kids that could be, maybe want to be in the game and aren't. And a lot of kids are drug in with their parents when someone's already have a foot in the door. We want to reach out to those shooters that may not be already connected to the sport, and it's important for us. And we want to. I think Dead Pair is so important for our sport, and doing this and awareness and going to these events and the dinners we all do together. It's so important because we want to grow the sport. Of course, we want to grow our brand. We want to grow Blaser in the marketplace. But we want to also grow the sport, and that's important for us. And whether it's involved with the coaching and the kids, and whether it's demoing guns out here, whatever we can do to better our sport and grow it nationwide, we're all in. So
real quick question: if we do get a band together, can I be the lead singer?
Absolutely. I don't know anybody else who would.
Yes, I get to be a singer. So last but not least, any thanks you want to give out to? You're back to America.
That's right, man. It feels good. I'm 6 weeks back after 7 years in Europe. So come see me. Let's talk about the shotguns. We've got some of the rifles. We've got some sour stuff here. You guys come by the trailer, check it out. Come talk to me. Come see Chad. Come see the boys from Dead Pair. We're all out here, so we'd love to see you.
Can you speak German?
I can. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Nice. You hear it? It sounds like you got to take me to Ramstein. I want to go see him with you.
We do a concert in summer, yeah?
Yes. Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Back here with Frank Bruno at the 2022 U.S. Open. What's going on, buddy?
We're down here with the NYPD shotgun team.
So I got a question real quick before we start with this craziness that you're going to show me and talk about. You're still smiling after shooting today. What happened?
Well,
did you shoot a monster?
I don't care. I don't care enough to worry about how many I miss.
Was it bad or good?
Oh my God, it was ugly.
Was it fun though?
It's always fun. The sport is all about fun. It's all about the people, the good time shooting. You're going to miss. We're not professionals, trust me.
And what do you think of the grounds so far?
This place has got to be the nicest, the biggest place I've ever shot.
And you guys go all over with the NYPD shotgun team, right?
Yes.
Okay. And if you guys ever go out there and Shooterland on YouTube, you ever see these little slot cars that go around the courses that are not the buggies? That's these guys. They have a couple smart cars that was actually a smart idea.
Yeah.
Kind of hence the name, right? Smart car, right? All right. So what we're out here for, because we were in a different area earlier, is Frank's been doing something that just intrigued me immensely as a shooter. Like when I first met Frank, first off, barrel laughs, always happy. Talked about this NYPD thing. And for me, it was like, I love New York as one of the cool places to go and visit, just like all over the place. I've been all over the world. So New York's always had something for me that I like. And don't ask me why. Maybe it's all the weirdness that you have downtown. And all.
Oh, you have no idea.
The street performers are great. You just start.
No, those are normal. They're not performers. That's the normal every day.
That's the normal every day. It's definitely not like coming out to a shotgun club for sure, right?
No, absolutely not. They frown on guns.
Yes, they do. So Frank was telling me just his story, and I always mess it up, so I'm just going to let Frank, why did you get into the game? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you putting so much effort? You're retired. You put a lot of time in for the country, for the town, your city. You killed it. You had your time. You beat the hell out of yourself. And now you're doing more, so what is it?
Honestly, it all starts out with having fun and great people. The people in this sport are just phenomenal. So for me, it was about the World Police Fire Games, which my old partner, Andy Herr, dragged me into it and said, hey, shotguns, you're an outdoorsman, let's go. You're going to help us out with our team. Because we're a group of guys that shoot in the World Police Fire Games. So all first responders get to participate in this that are paid. So we go every 2 years to a different part of the world and we shoot. We compete, trap, skeet, and sporting clays. So as I got involved with the team was really about bringing people into the sport and the youth. So as I got rolling with my ideas, I came up with a whole new approach to a youth program.
Wow, that's pretty big because, nowadays, especially politically with the cops out there and all the defund me this and all the crazy stuff that we could get into, you guys stay strong to just giving back to the community.
For the most part, we always give. That's just what we do. I can't say negative things. Cops put in 110% every day.
With the chance of not coming home.
That's the risk. And, it's something in your blood. People, guys, don't understand that, cops, firemen, EMS, they do the job because they love it. They love helping other people.
That is awesome. So you love to help the youth. And I'm looking at this thing over here, and I'm going to have you go ahead and explain what this is. I saw something go down when I walked over. It looks like your sign got shot there, so somebody missed or they're shooting a trap gun.
Listen, this was not you shooting.
Okay.
There are kids shooting this.
So if anybody wants to understand why I'm so intrigued by this, I like to troll on social media. And Frank got on there the other day looking for somebody to help him out with a firearm because one of the kids he was helping out it didn't fit him, right? So it was horrible.
He tried different guns. He
couldn't do it.
We've had like 5 or 6 different people trying to help him, and it finally got to a point where I needed a trap gun with a high rib just to try
I just need to come out there and help him. I'll just hold the gun for the kid and let him pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But so you got on social media and you got a lot of response for getting help for that. So did you get help at the end of it?
People gave me all kinds of ideas. Between using cork and gluing rubber to the top of the barrel I came up with an OSB board with zip ties as a temporary solution.
So it's just getting it done so these kids can have a good time and see what we do all the time.
It's really all about the smile on the kid's face when he can actually crush a clay. And that's where it begins.
So I'm a kid at heart, as you can see. Whoa, right? So RAD Chad wants to try this, and you're going to explain this game. This is what so the gist of it is you have a police officer with one of these youths, so they're working together as a team. Is that correct?
The whole object is to build the shooting sports and bonding between cops and kids.
Okay.
So that's really where it came up.
So explain the game to me. What are we going to be doing here? Because I think I'm going to fire my firearm. So what are we going to do? First off, obviously be safe.
Yeah, are you going to be the child, or am I going to be the child?
Can I be the child?
Yes, of course you can be the child.
All right, perfect.
This will be fun.
Hold on. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, nice. So from perspective, it's about shooting an arm that's hanging down that throws a clay up in the air.
Okay.
So the cop is going to actually go downrange, load the trap system with the child.
Okay.
So they can actually learn firearm safety and range safety.
That's excellent.
They come back from there, they load their weapons safely on the line. Then the cop shoots the arm, the bird flies up, or rabbit, midi,
whatever it is.
Variety of
different
things.
Do they go straight up in the air?
Some go up, some go off, and there's a gravity rabbit, and then there's a rabu that runs off to the side.
So are the machines any one of these numbers out here, or is it actually something on the back of your sign there?
It's actually built right into the sign.
Oh,
that whole system is all.
Did you patent this before we put this on the air?
I'm working on a
You
patent.
get on that, man, because somebody's going to take your idea, because this is bad to the bone.
It's a lot of fun.
You got something looks like, so now I'm a BMXer, and I know Jason Rambo. We're like mini biking over here because we love motocross and BMX. It looks like a ramp jump right there, and I really want to do a backflip off that, but that's not what that's for.
No, that's actually a rubber mat.
Okay, so I can't hit it with my bike.
That helps our gravity rabbit roll down, which I've seen professional shooters miss
all the time. I teach this thing, and I'll probably still miss it because I'm on tape now. This is gonna be great.
But that's what makes this so much fun.
So when the kids miss, and the cop does his job, hits the thing that goes up, and the kid misses, what goes on after that?
Well,
what happens?
Each gun has 2 shells.
Okay.
So the kid gets to shoot twice at the rabbit or the bird.
Okay.
Either one, and the cop has still got 1 more shell for a backup.
At the end, though. So
Yes.
it will be, and you do this as teams.
Yes.
Okay, so you go against each other. So there's a competition.
Well, the competition funnels down to when we get a group of uniformed officers and a group of kids, we mix it up, and we actually have them win a hat, a shirt, so they get bragging rights.
I got to get BPSI involved in this, get you some hats, get these kids. This is
that'd
just
be great.
unbelievable. So we're going to get set up here, everybody, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to shoot this in a few minutes.
Awesome.
All right, we're back here. We're ready to shoot this thing. So, Frank, you're telling me that you're going to hit those little bars on the bottom. Some kind of clay is going to go up. I'm going to get 2 shots at everything I see up in the air.
Yes.
Normally, you would have somebody with the person shooting, which would be you. The officer would have another shell. If there's a miss from the kid, you have backup.
I'll probably end up using it.
Yes, you will, with me involved, because I'm on TV now. So there we go. So real quick, you're doing this at no charge at all these big events going forward.
This is all about cops and kids bonding and building a future in the sporting clays. Period.
So what he's saying is that he's going to be working with local law enforcement of that area, so he can connect the youth and the officers in that area wherever the shoot's at. As long as the range has got the opening, you should get online, find out where these shoots are at, and then come out and bring your kids. Maybe your kids are here and your parents are shooting, or your brother or sister shooting, and they want to try it. We're going to be out there, and I'm going to try to help you one of these. This is just cool. I'm not a cop, but this is going to be darn fun.
What makes it easy is the kids, if they aren't good shooters or adequate, you can put a 410 in their hands, and they can still shoot the arm that trips the. And ladies are actually better learners than men.
They can actually hit the stuff. I know. Yeah. They think better than us men. All right, so we're going to go out. I'm going to load up here. Frank's going to make me look weird. Okay, Dad, let's do this. All right. And we're live here, so you can talk it through. This is like Wild World of Sports. We're going to mic them in like, football and stuff. You can talk through your whole thing.
I can make fun of you when
you miss? Yes, you can.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's see.
Right.
First trap system
and I'm shooting whatever's up in the air.
Under TE. Here we go.
Oh, we got power. Look at that. I hit it. Smoke ball. And in the world of what we do, that's called a smoke ball, my friends. All right,
either way, it's dead.
That one's dead. All
right, here we go.
Uh-oh. Ah! You didn't have to shoot it.
I was right there. I was right there.
That's a dead bird. Dead bird. What does the gallery say? Dead bird? Dead bird. All right, here we go. One more time.
Here we go.
0.
You're going to miss. Oh, what do you got? You won't even I'm not going to let you get me on that one. Maybe I'll try missing on this. Right. What if I miss? Let's show what it looks like.
Let's see what it looks like when you miss.
Let's see what. You ready?
Ready.
Oh, and he misses too, and we get a 0. All right, I don't want him on my team anymore. All right,
got it.
All right. So we got 2 more here.
We got
the BMX jump here that I've never seen one of these. Just kidding, I've seen them all the time. So I've seen a gravity.
Since when do we go into bicycles?
Because it looks like a jump.
All right.
You guys want to jump that or ride down it with a skateboard? That's what I want to do. Let's do it.
All right, let's see who kills it first then. Ready.
You got me. I think I'm getting old.
Yeah, a little slow. No, just kidding.
All right, man.
Let's go to the Rabu, okay? I'll trip the Rabu for you. All the way on the left here. Ready?
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, good job. See, this is what it's all about, everybody. I'm having fun. I got a big smile on my face. Frank Bruno from the NYPD shotgun team's out here showing us everything we're doing out here. This is just great. This is a fun time.
Absolutely.
Wow, and it's just real easy. Just run back out there, set it up, and go for it. That's cool. Well, thank you very much.
We get to put the child to work now. Ready?
You got anybody you want to thank for being able to come out here and do what you do?
I've got a lot of people to thank.
Well, start doing it, baby.
Oh, it's a long, long list.
Everybody, just say everybody.
Everybody on the team, everybody that's involved in this sport has been so good to me. And I've got to say that, coach-wise, every coach out there, I think I've actually gotten advice from, including yourself.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, when I met you and we were out there shooting feed task at Anthony's place, I was like, I gotta know this guy. So you've been a great friend, good times, and thank you for doing what you've done for our country.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate that, Chad.
All right. With RAD Chad Roberts at the 2022 U.S. Open. I have Devin Anderson with me. How's it going?
Great. Happy to be here.
Good. So we were just talking before we came on camera. You're coming out here to the U.S. Open. This is actually my first time here because the last couple times it's ever been here or any shoot that's been here, I've not been able to get here. So it's been pretty overwhelming for me because it's such a big place. How is it for you?
It's great. It's actually my first time here at this property. It's beautiful. It's huge. I mean, a lot of times these big events, like they get put on a property that is probably not quite big enough, but they got nothing but space here, and they certainly are availing of themselves of it in some of these events.
So how's it going with you guys? Like, do you feel like you guys are really making a good splash at everything you guys are trying to do right now?
Look, some of these, I think, if you come to one of these events, but if you're here today and you just shot the DT11 course, for example, I think it's really important that people know that is as hard as it comes, right? I had a guy in my squad who he's like, I've been shooting for 4 years. This is the worst day of my life. Like, I'm really struggling. And I'm like, look, if you had double that experience, you would still be struggling. Put it in perspective, right? So, that particular course, that particular event, probably half the stands, really, really hard, and probably at a skill level that only 20 or 30 people at this entire event can really stand up to.
I heard a couple pros actually talking about that they think that the average might actually be a 35. Do you think that on that course?
It's totally possible in the lower classes. I mean, you figure there's 1,000 plus people here, 450-ish in master, so 600 people outside of master that I think would struggle to hit 40 targets for sure on that course. I think, the fit task was tough, but a lot more manageable. I just shot the 5 stand, very reasonable, very reasonable. Going to be a lot of 70s and low 80 scores there, I think. So
yeah, I was on the 694 course, and I felt like, I've been to the Texas State. I was down at, Jack Links, and I've been able to see some really big targets from either Joe Skull, Doug Vine, any of those guys.
Joe Skull's the man.
It's crazy. And now he's got a mental girl with him that's going to make him even more deadly, I think.
Him and Donna are an amazing team.
Isn't it just
Don's
crazy?
turning out Joe Skull memes. It's awesome.
It's just great. But I think like that course, I personally think somebody could go in there and shoot it. It's a 66 course. I think somebody's going to shoot it probably a 62 to a 64. I really think it's possible.
So that's good. I mean, that means that the other courses are balanced. I've just seen one so far.
Right.
But I think, look, if you've shot less than 30,000 targets and you come to a big event like this and it feels like you're getting crushed, like first of all, it's probably going to feel like that anyway, regardless of how hard that particular tournament is. But it's really important that you look at it as accumulating experience and building the base that that's going to make you competitive later. I know a lot of, local legend like guys turn up at one of these and they shoot a 70 and they're distraught. Right. So it's I think you're past that phase. But,
I hope so. I really hope so.
But it's just important to keep perspective and you got to go home, collect yourself. And, Anthony Mattery says you didn't forget how to shoot this week. Right.
And I know he pounds that on me all the time when I'm talking. So I do have a question about that. Do you ever get the guys coming to your guys' booth and saying it's your guys' fault?
Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be, but and under enough stress, people are looking for an answer for sure.
What do you think is? Have you ever been over to Europe with those type of targets?
I haven't. I've never made the trip. It's just like I own my own business. It's just a little too tough. But this is a lot. Well, that particular course of DT11 was a lot more difficult than nationals, any regional I've seen, Gator, Jack Links.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of my friends that shoot like Cory and everybody, and they're saying it's very reminiscent to the days when the first year of PSCA when we were shooting, where it was just Dan was just absolutely relentless. We almost went into every cage like, let's just see how many we can hit, not let's try to run the stages, like let's just try to get out with a 4 or something.
Yeah, no, I'd say, out of 13 stands, 7 of them, if you were out of there with a 4, you're doing pretty good.
That's awesome. So what is your favorite thing to go out there and shoot with? What's your equipment? What are you shooting right now?
So I shoot a Perazzi MX2000, which my friends jokingly call the Perazzi LG for low grade. Because I view it as a tool. This is the answer to your question. I view it as a tool. I mean, I practice with it. I put a lot of rounds, put a pallet plus ammo through that gun every year. Right. It gets banged around in carts. I love it. I love the way it feels. I changed to 33-inch barrels this year. I think it's making a huge difference just in handling.
Length.
Yeah, I think for the modern sporting game, 34 is just a little too much. Mm-hmm. And I think the pickup that you get in perception and balance, at least for me as a slightly bigger guy, when you go to 33, doesn't cost a lot, but I feel a lot more connected. And I shoot these actually. I shoot the Game Boy product through it simply because it feels the best, right? I think it kind of at this point, stuff ballistically probably is about the same. It's just about when you put it in the gun, what feels good.
Is this the model that you shoot right here?
Yeah, I shoot the white gold in practice with the Evos, shoot local tournaments with the Evos.
You ever shoot the Dark Storms?
Yeah, at the bigger targets. And I find them a little softer too. So
I love that shell. I don't even shoot for them, but I just think it's a cool name. Great shell. I always tell Fiocchi when I see him, like, we got to have a really cool name like that on a shell because, and they're like, but we have the little rhino and the white rhino. I mean, that's cool. I'm like, in thought, it is cool, but they've been around for so long, and so
they feel like butter. I mean, at least in my gun, like that stuff's so complicated. Who knows? Like the same guy with like a different stock. I mean, all these things, I think, wood density and barrel horn marks, like all that stuff adds up in some way that we can't calculate to what it's going to feel like. So like, you just got to go and get the stuff that feels good to you and shoot it.
So with the business side of it and everything outside of DT11 and what we don't want to scare anybody off of hearing that and then not want to ever go to a US Open again. I mean, there's so much here that they could be doing. You could go have the worst round in the world and want to strangle yourself and jump off the bridges over here where it has a lot of water under it. But you come back in this area and see everybody and it just kind of fixes it.
Yeah, for sure. You shouldn't get in the car and be on suicide watch for sure. So
Jason, better look out. He might be on one. Let's just hold on, everybody.
Yeah, I know. He looked like he was going to start a suicide hotline actually earlier today. He was a couple groups in front of us. But no, there's an amazing community of people here. There's plenty of events. It's just really important that you come to these big events and, you aren't shooting 85% yet. you really got to look at it as accumulating experience and get the experience on your belt. Take the notes, write down those moments in those times where you felt you didn't have a lot of confidence outside of the box, and take those things and go work on them.
That's probably the best answer and piece of advice I've heard actually with all my interviews is just go work on the stuff that you're not good at. I know it's a lot of work as a coach. It's
specifically the stuff when you stand. So like in my view, the whole game pivots around that moment outside the box, right? When you stand there and you look at those targets for the first time, you can only have 3 reactions. You can say to yourself, I'm going to kill all of these. I know what to do, but I'm only going to get some of them. Or you can say to yourself, I don't know what to do, right? Well, whatever that was, right? If it's, I don't know what to do, that's pretty easy. You got to go work on how to make a plan and the technical skills. And if you know what to do, but you're not sure you can get all of them, maybe it's routine, maybe it's planning. But like, that's the stuff you got to take out and go and write that down. And those things you got to work on, because that moment, you can't lie to yourself. There's no like, it's not a fixed field game, right? The targets are different every time. It's complicated. If you know in your heart of hearts, I'm not sure I can kill all of them, well, then that's going to color everything that happens afterwards, right? Your plan might be a little weaker. Your confidence inside the box when you close the gun and call for a target is going to be a little less, right? It changes everything that happens after that, right?
Wow. That is it's huge too. And a lot of people don't want to do the work, they want to buy a game, either come to a coach and they're going to fix them right away. They chase technicals, like the technical side of it. Like I need to figure out, I'm a maintained shooter, so I got to go learn how to pull away because that's the only way it's going to fix me. And I think there's merit to everything, learning all of it, being a master of all of it, put a lot of hours in it. But I think as a coach, going after that stuff you don't know is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you, like at the beginning for like the first 30,000 targets that I shot at big, at shoots and real experience, like at a real event. I mean, I felt like I'm driving home. It felt like a failure most of the time, right? Like, how many sad plane rides home have you had?
You don't want to talk about
right. A lot, right? So like, it's like therapy, write in the book, make the list. And I'm sure like when I go for a lesson, Anthony's probably like, oh God, this guy's got 10 item list again. But like, you just crank through it. And over time, like, you accumulate the experience, it gets better.
Absolutely. So since we're talking about that, coaches, guns, you already talked about guns and ammo. Obviously, it sounds like you work with Anthony.
I do, yeah.
Okay. And do you find that valuable to obviously have a coach?
I don't know any other way to do it. I mean, I have very good friends that are self-taught, and we get to the same place. The difference is it took them a lifetime of shooting to get there, and it took me 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, and this guy can shoot, and I've been with you. We got to hang out earlier this year, and it's amazing when you see somebody get coached by somebody. And actually, it's not that it doesn't matter, but as long as you're getting good fundamentals and a good foundation laid down by a coach, it's cool to watch somebody that just starts with a coach, and then you see him 6-7 months later, and then I'm watching him, it's like, wow, this guy's coming on, and it's cool to see.
What Anthony can do, as well or better than anyone, is shorten that learning curve. So it doesn't need to be any one person. It just needs to be a person that shoots above the level at which you aspire to shoot in competition, right? Not shot at that level in the early 90s or the late 90s, shoots at that level now because the game's changing, right? Like, if you stopped shooting tournaments 10 years ago and someone came to you and said, how do I shoot this flying rabbit? How do you answer that question?
Yeah, we didn't have them back then.
Yeah, right, it didn't exist. So, just find somebody that's shooting at the level or better that you aspire to shoot. And when you run out of runway, then you go to the next guy.
Yeah, and you know what? Just and don't give up. I mean, there's a ton of us out there. I'm on the West Coast. Anthony's on the East Coast. There's guys all over the country. Cory's down in Texas. There's just a ton of people.
Many qualified people. And I shouldn't say that like you need a guy that can. It depends on what your goals are, obviously, right? I mean, some guys. I talk to some people and their goals are like, I just don't want to be mad when I get in the car on my local Sunday shoot. Like that's a whole different goal than turning up here and shooting 90%.
I have a student that showed up with margarita mix. They just want to hang out and they want to feel what it's like to be at the US Open. And that's as long as they're having fun, and they don't come to me and it's like, I'm shooting horrible. It's like, well, you didn't come with that mindset. So, to compete, you came here to have fun and
just get the guy that operates at above your level. or the level that you aspire to.
I think that's great advice. So, anybody you want to thank? And
well, look, I've been extremely fortunate to have worked for Anthony for years. I mean, I can't imagine the influence he's had on my yeah. I mean, honestly, like the influence he's had on my shooting is incredible. But he's not the only one. I've worked with Henry Hopking, who is amazing. A very particular style, I think, and it's you really have to commit to like looking within yourself and examining kind of your own behavior and your own thoughts.
Yes, sir.
But he's amazing and knowledgeable and patient and put up with my nonsense. So like he's great, but I had some weird influences too. There's an old school trap shooter named John Muir. He was actually the last Winchester rep, like back when Winchester had people on salary to go to shoots and take people hunting as a full-time job, right? Nice. Actual employees, right? He was the last one in the country in the late 70s. Runs a gun club called the Gateway Lodge in northern Wisconsin. Amazing guy, taught me incredible amounts. But honestly, and the guy at the very beginning was an ex-British national shooting team guy named Keith Lupton, works in the East Coast. You probably know Keith. Yep. Keith is an incredible coach, massively underrated. Keeps himself busy teaching private club guys how to kill pheasants. But if you can pry him away from that,
teach you how to shoot a clay too.
Yeah, he can teach you how to shoot a target.
And so for the Dead Pair gang out there in TV land or YouTube land, it's not about going and just searching only. I mean, if you can afford it, you can do it. Great. Contact us through our websites, our all of our contact information's on the YouTube channel. But get out there and see somebody, and you can go from never firing a shotgun to be somebody that can win at a AA level, or just be your fun time weekend guy that enjoys shooting without getting mad. Don't give up and literally go enjoy it, because it sounds like there's a lot to it, but there really isn't. It's pretty cookie cutter in that aspect.
You work with a good coach, you have a good process, you have a plan, you stick with it, you accumulate experience, the pieces come together for sure.
And you get to go to some really cool places. Like this place is amazing. It blows your mind away how big this area is.
Yeah, I told you, we're really fortunate to have, a club this size, to have 1,000+ people at it. It's amazing.
Well, and that's what we're talking about. So you guys got to get out here. If he ever has a shoot out here again, get out here, get out to Anthony's place, come out to the West Coast. Let's have some fun. Thank you very much, Evan. You take care, buddy. All right.
All right, everybody. Well, that makes it a wrap on the 2022 U.S. Open. For Jason and I, it's been a heck of an experience.
A heck of an experience? Is that how you're going to wrap this up? Okay, well, we're on the last day. As you can see, we're under the bear pelt tent. They're wrapped up. It's raining. The shooters are wanting to get wrapped up and get out of here. But, hey, Mother Nature is not she doesn't choose size, does she?
No, and thank goodness it really hasn't been that bad. We had one big pop-up storm yesterday. This one's popped up today. Don't think it's going to be too bad. Still waiting on the Super Squad to finish for the day to get the final scores in. Everybody's excited to get this thing in the books, but it has been a great tournament, definitely a challenging tournament, and we've seen a lot of great shooters out there on the course doing their best.
Yeah, and one of the biggest topics of discussion here is the targets, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that into the next episode, but we've got some shooters' perspectives. When I say shooter perspective, I mean guys at the top of the game, what their thoughts and opinions are, and we're going to ask them some questions about that. But we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. We get a little bit more time in the studio. But thank you, everyone. Again, if you're listening to this, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. You really need to go check it out on our YouTube channel. We've got a ton of interviews. We got a ton of live action shooting for them. And I don't know, Sean, overall, one last thought. 2022 U.S. Open.
I was not prepared.
I don't think anybody could have been prepared. Low scores all the way around, but you know what? Hey, it's an experience. If you haven't been to the U.S. Open, if you haven't been to the national championship or even a regional, you need to get out and check out these shoots. The amount of vendors are here that are huge. There's got to be 35 different vendors here.
Oh, easily.
And plus all the pro shooters you hear on our podcast, you can get out, see them, watch them shoot, and you get to shoot these targets yourself. So. Hey, Sean, until next time.
Catch y'all back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.